Welcome to the broadcast, my dears. If there's one thing that should warm the cockles of your heart this week, it is the fact that Catherine's star continues to rise. We all knew she was a superstar. We all knew that she was the biggest star in the world and that her future queenship would propel her to higher heights in the stratosphere, up in the firmament, as it's going to be. But, and by the way, those heights are the kind of dizzy climb that the Meghans of this world can only dream of. From the gutter where she snipes, from the gutter where that sniping Duchess cowers and grovels from the curb, looking up to the stars. Between and betwixt the gutter and the stars, we have the Duchess of Sussex representing the gutter, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, representing the stars. And if there's one thing that the stupidity and the inanity and the shocking incredulity of the past week or two has taught us, my dear, it is that Catherine is established as the world's megastar. And who is going to be crying over that? Who is going to be writing on her own bananas, telling herself, I love you, you're the best, you're the fairest in the land. Oh, why am I still writing this on my bananas? Shouldn't I have a mirror on the wall, a magic mirror? Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the most famous, most influential, time-honoured Duchess of all? Catherine. Except she's not a duchess, she's a princess, which Meghan's never gonna be in public style, I should say. Even her daughter outshines her on that front. The grand. No shade to the child, of course, the sweet child. It's not her fault. But the mother. The mother. Oh, she's going to have to curtsy and grovel not only to Queen Catherine, but to Princess Lilibet, her own daughter, who carries that name publicly while she is banished to plain old Meg the Peg. It's terrible, isn't it? But the world is going bonkers about this, and they are noticing the fact that Catherine is achieving, with the tight, muted lip, these lips, she is achieving what Meghan tries to achieve with her lips spread wide open. Do you understand? And again, I'm talking about these lips. She achieves what that girl tries to achieve with them all spread and loose and everything coming out. It's effortless for our dear Catherine. The dear Catherine. And a few articles have been going on about this, including one in The Spectator, and I'm just going to read you a little excerpt from it, because I thought you might enjoy it. Kate is now a mega celebrity. She has the kind of fame. And by the way, this doesn't mean that I think royalty are celebrities. They are beyond celebrity. But for the purposes of this article, we'll let them off the hook. We know what they're saying. Okay, fair enough. Now, a mega celebrity. She has the kind of fame her sissy-in-law craves so badly. Meghan Markle's tactic was to shout from the rooftops, to make herself and her point of view heard through every media platform and streaming service that showed any interest. It worked for a while. Had a pandemic not scuppered her big moment, Megxit would have been the story of 2020. She and Harry still got to sit down with Oprah. Netflix charted their journey from the palace to the Hollywood Hills, but attention quickly waned. Well, I don't agree with that entirely. They still get a hell of a lot of attention, but is it all good attention? That might be what waned. This week, the Duchess finds herself doing what every fame hustler must do in the fight for survival, launching a lifestyle brand. Her Californian-inspired venture called American Riviera Orchard will be offering us fashion advice and gardening tips, along with another outlet selling artisan jams and yoga gear. Yet, as Meghan pushes the cutlery and cookbooks, it's absent Kate whose face is projected all over the world. A testament, if ever there was one, to the power of silence. And my understanding is that this is tearing Meghan apart, and even her cohort, old Prince Harold, Henry IX, tearing them apart at the seams it is, because they thought they had it all tied up, didn't they? They thought they had it all tied up. Meghan was taking over the world with her orchard of the American Riviera. They were not banking on Catherine getting the kind of publicity that Ari Emanuel scrambles and scrapes to pay for. No shade to the man, he's very, very good at his job, but Catherine doesn't need an Ari Emanuel. She doesn't even need the courtiers at Kensington Palace. No. All she needs to do is click those stiletto heels into action, or even those trainers she was wearing at the farm shop the other day, even those flats. Click them into action, totter along. A smile, a royal wave, a moment, and the world goes bonkers, or not even appear at all, and simply convalesce at home for a few weeks, and the world goes nuts and crazy. Publicity of the witch and the like. Meghan would have to sell a million of her shacks in Montecito to pay for, and still should get nowhere. Still no one would want to be buying what she's selling. It's completely effortless for Catherine. Do you see that, my dears? Effortless. That's royalty. That's the gift of royalty and a Bucklebury girl. A sweet Bucklebury girl. There you are, Meghan. There's a name for your jam. Don't you dare call it Bucklebury jam. But, you see, this is where creativity comes in. Bucklebury jam by Katie Wales. That would outsell every panty liner that Meghan might be hawking us on QVC from her upcoming range. The Raglan girls, with Doria and Meghan sitting on QVC, as dear Joan Rivers used to do, but she used to do it much better because she was a queen of that kind of thing, my dear. But Meghan and Doria, the Raglans, are going to be pulling up after the Kardashian show extraordinaire. They're going to be rolling up on QVC. And they're going to be hawking panty liners, and they're going to be hawking bongs, and they're going to be hawking... What else is she into? Bronzer! And they're going to be hawking yoga mats, and they're going to be hawking dignity. Everything. All for Judas coins, my lover, but they better not start trying to merchandise Bucklebury jam, because I'm patenting it right now. I'm patenting it. And that is the stuff that Catherine eats at breakfast with the family at Bucklebury and keeps her tasting sweet. Nelson Silver is the character who took the footage of Catherine at the farm shop the other day that everybody now starts saying there's a body double, there's a doppelganger, there's this, that and the 10th. Well, I don't care one way or the other, my dear, but I don't sniff anything rum, because he's come forward to say that he did encounter Catherine at the farm shop, at the meat section, actually, at the meat section. Perhaps she's going carnivore. And he said that that alone should end the wild rumours about her health. And I know how that feels as well, poor gal. He says conspiracy theorists are delusional. Delusional. Gaga, insane in the membrane. He said, I'm not so much shocked that these conspiracy theories have continued. I'm just confused how exactly they can continue. We all are, lover boy. We all are. Except when you think about how many crazy lunatics there are all over social media, that cesspit that I do not look at, because that's where it emanates from, and the media, who are getting paid royally for all of these headlines, these stupid headlines. They're jumping onto the social media bandwagons, and some of the more dicey, undesirable YouTube AI videos and troll videos, conspiracy theory videos. They're jumping into all of that world, my dear. Terrible. I'm not so much shocked. Oh yes. I'm just confused exactly how they can continue, he says. This is a video clearly showing her and William. I saw them with my own eyes. It was a completely relaxed situation. Well, Nelson Silver is the one that you want to either believe or not, because neither Catherine or William has come forward to try and convince you that they're at the farm shop. They were going about their own private business. But I think it's obvious to most of us that it is a likely scenario that it was them, and I have no doubt that it was them. But I shall put Catherine aside for a moment or two and come back to him in a moment, because the Queen's been busy on royal business and it shouldn't go ignored, because she's been doing a wonderful job actually. She's been having great fun and spreading great fun and cheer in Northern Ireland. And actually she began off at the Isle of Man. That was her first sojourn the evening beforehand. And she helped Manx residents officially celebrate the new city status of their capital, Douglas, with a day of visits. And she met with island locals from all walks of life, and they loved her. She delivered a speech on behalf of the king before presenting letters patent, conferring city status on the borough of Douglas. And Douglas has been the capital on the Isle of Man since 1896, and it's home to the Manx Parliament. What a wonderful word that is, Manx. The Manx Parliament, the Manky Parliament, it's the oldest continuous parliament in the world. And Douglas was granted city status in May 2022 as part of the late Elizabeth's celebrations for the Platinum Jubilee. And at Government House, she met with the Chief Minister, the RNLI, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, which incidentally, Douglas is the birthplace of the RNLI, which has traditionally been a rather beloved institution here in the kingdom. They've gone a little bit crackers and a little bit woke recently, from recent memory, but they're very beloved here, and it's their bicentenary this year. 200 years ago they were formed and founded by a resident of Douglas, Sir William Hillary, who witnessed shipwrecks off of the coast and founded a national body to protect and save lives at sea. So it's a historic place, and she met with the chiefs of that institution, and also a swimming club called the Manx Blue Tits. And speaking of which, Her Majesty wore a blue coat by Anna Valentine, and Queen Victoria's wedding brooch, the Albert, she toted a crossbody bag by Chanel. The Queen said, "I would like to thank you all for your warm welcome to the Isle of Man, with particular thanks to the little people whom I was careful to greet as we drove past Fairy Bridge." Doesn't that sound wonderful? Fairy Bridge. Well, apparently this is a small bridge over the Santon Burn, and it's considered very bad luck not to greet the fairies and say hello to them as one passes by, so the Queen made sure to say hello to the fairies. Isn't that lovely? Although I hear that there is a competing fairy bridge. Things get very competitive with Manx fairies, by all accounts. There is a competing fairy bridge called the Real Fairy Bridge in the parish of Braddon across the Middle River. Quite enchanting, isn't it? But back to Catherine for a moment, because we haven't even mentioned here on the broadcast the fact that there is an urgent review after attempts, presumably unsuccessful, but I don't know, attempts to access Catherine's personal details and her medical records. This is absolutely disgusting. This is 3 members of staff suspended so far. These are allegations at the moment, not confirmed, but an urgent review being investigated. It's shocking, absolutely shocking, but it just goes to show how much money is at stake for that kind of information. And they issued a statement saying, "Everyone at the London Clinic is acutely aware of our individual professional, ethical and legal duties with regards to patient confidentiality. We take enormous pride in the outstanding care and discretion we aim to deliver for all our patients that put their trust in us every day. We have systems in place to monitor management of patient information, and in the case of any breach, all appropriate investigatory, regulatory and disciplinary steps will be taken. There is no place at our hospital for those who intentionally breach the trust of any of our patients or colleagues." And on top of that, the London Clinic itself is being investigated over possible delays in notifying the ICO, the Information Commissioner's Office, for more than a week after Catherine was discharged, because you're supposed to notify them within 72 hours of any discovery of any breach. Let's see how things go there. Catherine has apparently been working from home. She continues to recover, but she's been working on her early years project from her bedside. Always dedicated. And Prince William had time to pop in and visit soldiers in their barracks in Windsor. These are actually the guardsmen from the 1st Battalion Welsh Guards, and he was visiting in his role as colonel and as a good laugh and as a good mate, having some fun with the soldiers there, and I'm sure it was a tonic for all of them. And the prince was smart in diagonal stripes of navy blue and maroon. But back to the Queen. After her sojourn to the Isle of Man, she arrived in Ireland at Hillsborough Castle in County Down yesterday evening, or I should be clear and say Northern Ireland. I always get wrapped on the knuckles with this, but I try to credit people with just not being too pedantic about it. But yes, she was at the royal residence in the region, Hillsborough Castle. Have you seen that one before? It's the official government residence for the Secretary of State. It's a guest house for international visitors, and it is the official residence in Northern Ireland of the monarch and family members when they are visiting. And so that was a lovely affair. And then today the Queen was in Belfast, and it was gorgeous. There were a series of engagements over Northern Ireland, meeting business owners and shop staff on the Lisbon Road. Delectable goodies on display I saw there. I saw a Jack Russell dog that she was flirting with, and youngsters stealing the show, almost, because it was certainly the Queen's moment. And there were more butchers and bakers, and there was a delicatessen, and we saw traditional skills and methods at work which are highly valued by these businesses and which play an important role in supporting the community. And the Queen was wearing her turquoise and diamond shamrock brooch. Delicious, isn't it? Persian turquoise, you see there, my dear, Persian turquoise. And as Colonel-in-Chief of the Rifles, the Queen took the salute at a cadre pass-off parade. And while we're on the subject of Ireland, I will move from Northern Ireland to the Republic of Ireland, because it was only in the previous broadcast that I mentioned Leo Varadkar, the Taoiseach, as I call him, the Taoiseach, or the former Taoiseach, because it was a happy coincidence, wasn't it? But a few of you mentioned this because I'd made a little shady comment saying that he has made a bit of a mess of the Republic of Ireland, from what I hear tell. There's a lot of deep-rooted unhappiness with him, from those who support his politics and from those who don't, rather similar to what's been going on here in the kingdom. Going on all over the place. Deep dissatisfaction, getting people like me thinking about voting reform. This kind of thing, you know, but I had a few different comments. One was from Abigail Coyle. I live in Ireland and I watched this broadcast this morning. Thank you, dear. Leo Varadkar must have watched it too and heard your criticism of him, River, because he promptly resigned. It's true. May we have more luck with the next one. You know what, I think he did actually watch the show. We know he's a gay. And, you know, he probably passes an idle hour here or two watching the broadcast. I've got nothing personal against you, Leo, dear. Nothing personal against you. And I've actually heard from certain quarters that you could be rather good fun. But I'm speaking here as a politician, with you as a politician, as a steward. People aren't impressed. And if you did watch my broadcast and decided to resign just a few hours later, you did the right thing. There are no coincidences, Abigail Coyle. So I think there's veracity in what you're telling me. He must have heard. And Miss Glamazon left a very fruity comment. Miss Glamazon, oh. Jesus, River, she says. I can't do an Irish accent, so I won't attempt. Jesus, River, I loved you before, but now you are the man. So right. I'm Irish, and Leo Varadkar is a wanker, a plonker, a waste of space, brain-dead arsehole. He has fucked up Ireland. He said, I'm going to have to try an Irish accent, my dear. I can't do this in my own. And I can only do it in the style of that Catherine Tate character who is proud of her gay son. I'm pride. Jesus, River, I loved you before, but now you are the man. So right, I'm Irish, and Leo Varadkar is a wanker, a plonker, a waste of space, brain dead arsehole. Arsehole. He has fucked up Ireland. He's a disgrace. We're screwed here, mate. There will be a general election, but they are all crooks. So who do you vote for? Who do you vote for now? Forgive me, my darling fruits of Ireland and Northern Ireland. I can but try. Another viewer. Did I write down the name? Sarah. When Irish eyes are smiling. She doesn't say that. She says, breaking news in Ireland. Our Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, has stepped down. Very surprising and strange. He knows political times are changing and people are now voting no towards the government and their views and the snake that he is. Ooh! Slippery snake. Well, you know, I will be entirely honest with you, my dear. If you hadn't already guessed, I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant of the politics of Ireland and Northern Ireland to a very large extent, so I'm really not going to be any sort of expert on what's going on there, but I do have an understanding which is anecdotal from friends who come from Ireland and who still have family in Ireland. One particular close friend who is often there visiting with family and has noticed the tangible difference in Ireland over the last few years. Similar to in places like Sweden, and I have quite a number of friends from Sweden who are dismayed what's going on there, and everywhere in Europe, everywhere of what's going on, that there are no stewards of that which we cherish. This is the very scary thing, isn't it? There are no stewards of that which we cherish over the past few decades. It's sort of insidious, and you can't sort of point the one finger of blame at any one person. I hold this Tory government rather responsible here in the kingdom because they've been in power for a long time now, 14 years, and haven't done anything to stymie the flow. And they're supposed to be a conservative government as well. They're not conserving much. And I think Varadkar is centre-right, isn't he, his party? Don't quote me on that. But this is what's gone on under his watch of 7 years, that he has been Taoiseach. That he's been the Taoiseach. 7 years been going on, all this woke nonsense. I hear tell he's become very progressive over the years, or it's become even more apparent, and that he's driven by the fashion of the moment, not clothes and style, but, you know, what's in and out of political fashion at the moment, and that there's been vast amounts of immigration, like there is everywhere else at the moment. Immigration at speed, ruining society, the society in this case of Ireland, the legendary, mystical, glorious Ireland of Petula Clark and Fred Astaire fantasy, Finian's Rainbow. And I've told you before, I've never been to Ireland. It's something I'm a little bit ashamed about. It's 5 minutes away, really, by aeroplane. It's so close, but I've never had cause to go to Ireland. And the few events that I have been invited to there, I declined. And I regret that now. I will go there, but I regret not going a few years earlier, because people telling me it's changed so fast and the people have become very woke. A lot of people have said this is to do with, because we're talking about a country that is traditionally very religious and traditionally steeped in the Catholic Church and the Catholic religion, and I know and understand that parts of it still are, and that a lot of it still is and revolves around that. But apparently the younger generations coming up, this is what I've been told, and you're free to agree or disagree with this, I'm interested, but I've been told that in the wake of many Catholic scandals over the last few decades, some of the generations coming through, and in some circumstances rightly so, felt ashamed about some of those scandals and the reputation of the Catholic Church, and it made them, but it kind of turned them into something more apologetic, or it turned their apologetic nature and wanting healing into something that weakened the fabric and the structure of the way of life in Ireland and everything that Ireland was previously proud of or felt proud of. Isn't this a pattern? The things that we hold dear and cherish and are taught to feel proud of, we have a moment of reckoning and reflection, but then it turns into we are told to be ashamed of it and that we have to make up for that shame by tolerating the nonsense from everybody else's regimes and religions and incoming demands. In my imagination, Ireland is the land of Enya, one of my top artists of all time, the delicious, divine Enya. How I adore that gal. If you're watching, Enya dear, please do say hello. I love you very, very much. But, you know, that's how I envisage myself floating about Ireland in some sort of smock or a gown with a sort of watercolour palette, painting the stars with Enya, looking at the beach, staying at her castle, skipping through Finian's rainbow. I digress. I mean, I have looked at it on Google Street View. It's not exactly the same that I have images that I have conjured in my head, but there's so much beauty there and I want to see it. I'm digressing, but all of Europe is homogenizing, isn't it? All of it's losing its character. You know, when I go to, this is my point, when I go to Ireland, I want Ireland with the Irish people. And I looked at the videos from Ms. Glamazon, who left one of the previous comments, the fruity Irish comment, and she is a typical stereotypical Irish lady, lovely, lovely looking, lovely flame red hair, and I can't remember what colour her eyes are, but you think of the green eyes or the traditional Irish and the elements, and you want to go there and you want to see the harps and the drinking and the beauty. That's what you want, don't you, my dear? When you go to France, you want France, and when you go to Sweden, you want Sweden. But recently, you see, Varadkar had lost, was it 2 referenda? I think it was 2 that were designed to appeal to the metropolitan elite of Dublin. This is the thing, what all these politicians do, isn't it? I'm sick of politicians treating their capital cities as if the capital cities are the nation. You know, I adore London. I adore so much about London, including its variety of people and including the people that historically came to these shores from other lands. My problem with immigration isn't with immigration itself or people from foreign lands coming to live here. It's with mass immigration at hurtling speed. It doesn't mean that I don't adore London, but I'm not arrogant enough to see London as a microcosm of the macrocosm, because the rest of the country is very different. London is a big place, but it is one place in a kingdom, another metropolitan elite. And thinking about it, this is another reason, if we needed another one, this is another reason why royalty actually have a better grasp than politicians of agricultural communities, for example, other terrains, other classes. They are leaders who are not just in a bubble, as you find at Westminster and apparently over in Dublin as well. Even from humble beginnings, some politicians get sucked in. Mrs. Thatcher didn't get sucked in. She remained a greengrocer's daughter to the last. You could tell that sensibility ran through her veins, and she wasn't impressed by the elite crowd of her era, I hear tell. But as for the likes of Mr. Sunak, who we have in power at the moment, I'm not so sure. He's the son of a pharmacist, but whether he always carries that mentality with him in the same way, or whether he was a bit too influenced by his time as head boy at Winchester and then all the urban elites that have slickened up his act over the last few years, who can say? But I can say from other conversations I've had with you that I certainly know most of you do chime with me and agree with the fact that these politicians, and it's not just here, but they are just not listening to the common people. They are not listening to the common voice, those that have their heads screwed on and are more focused on trying to get through life rather than focusing on identity politics and diversity officers and 10,000 genders and all this sort of absolute tosh. Diana says, you are losing the complete British culture. Immigration is consuming your country and taking over your government. The problem with that is that people are not assimilating when they come to Great Britain. Soon there will be nothing left of the British culture. And Diana, my dear, with two N's, Diana, my dear, I cannot add to that. You've said it all. I completely and totally agree with you. There is no rebuff to that. There is no happy ending. Unless you hate Britain and want to change it, then your luck's in, because it is indeed ruined. It's ruined. The damage has already been done. Sorry, I know it's supposed to be optimistic when channeling the royal spirit, but all I can do is hope and pray that I don't see too much of the change in my lifetime, although I know that things are rapidly changing. But you are right. There will be nothing left of the British culture because it's already been thrown away. And the big trick, you see, that other cultures are using to consume countries like mine is that ultra-right-wing societies and ultra-right-wing nations are using the woke. They are using the woke. They are making woke demands, and they are using them as a weapon to lure what North Americans, for example, would call the liberals, the liberal crew. The word has a different connotation here in the kingdom. You see, a Tory, a Conservative can be liberal thinking, but that points more to a sense of freedom or no big state, this kind of thing. And I hesitate to point the finger at the left-wing crowd as well, because it's not only left-wingers that have been seduced into this woke way of thinking. It's not only left-wingers, but once these ultra-right-wing conservative immigrant nations come here in their hundreds of thousands and they fool the wokerati and they fool the woke crowds, whether they're left or right-wing, once they've done that and once they've been around a bit longer, then we are all in trouble. Then we're all in trouble. It's a daylight raid that is going on. They are hiding in plain sight. They don't even need to hide. They just need to wave the odd woke banner and guilt trip our more tolerant, lenient societies into embracing those who are from ultra-right-wing societies and religions and this sort of thing. Maria says, I am from Greek immigrants, married to an Algerian of 35 years, both not happy with the immigrant situation. As my father used to say, when we came to England we were proud to be British and proud of our heritage. Genuine asylum seekers should be helped, but what is happening in the UK is an invasion, if you like, of people who couldn't care less about this country and are here for what they can get. Help people that need to be helped, absolutely, but not allow all sorts. All sorts. Most of us here in the kingdom have grown up with that wonderful gentle mix. You know, you say, Maria, you're from Greek immigrants, you're married to an Algerian of 35 years, and you're based here in the kingdom. You've loved it, but you've noticed the change recently. And understand that those of us who have a problem with it don't have a problem with immigrants in general or asylum seekers, what I call healthy immigration, in moderation. But it is the swarming, massive numbers of people that aren't compatible with our society, aren't integrating into it as you have done, my dear, and many, all of our friends and loved ones, you know, most of us here in the kingdom, all of our friends and loved ones and family are made up of people with immigrant background somewhere or the other. And it's nothing we even think about now, is it, my dear? Nothing we even think about. But it's the swarms coming over that are horrific, and it is the politicians and governments that have let us down and continue to let us down. But royalty does not let us down, and the Princess Royal doesn't let us down, and the Duchess of Edinburgh doesn't let us down, ever. and they appeared together representing the king, didn't they? And I flashed up one photograph of it in the previous broadcast, but we didn't have a chance to really look at their outfits here because they looked beautiful when they hosted this reception for Korean War veterans together. Anne and Sophie, the Anne-Sophie collection. Sophie was wearing a pleated midi with a necktie by Mary Catranzu, and Prada pumps together with citrine sugar stacks. And Anne was wearing silver, and I think that might have been turquoise there, a love heart in silver and blue anyway, and a triple strand of pearls underneath that high blue collar. But I really did think they looked gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous together. And Sophie has actually been rather busy over the past week with several engagements. On Tuesday she hosted a meeting, and I bet Meghan was so jealous because there she is at the head of the table like a chief executive telling everybody what's key, just as Meghan likes to do, but she does it with style and with grace. Do you see? She's bringing together Deborah UK here and the NHS for a collaboration, and she wore a Max Mara shirt dress, which was divine. On Wednesday, she was at a paediatric neurosciences ward at Leeds Children's Hospital, and this powder blue coat was a confection, wasn't it, by Susanna London. Actually, when I was a child, I had an obsession with that powder blue. I think I derived the obsession from powder paints. You know, at school you would have those wonderfully dusty powder paints. I loved the powder blue at springtime, actually. Quite Easter, isn't it? And she wore a floral print dress, again by Susanna London, with Joe Horner and Gabriella Hurst, and the Prada heels were in pastel blue suede. She toted a Eugenie clutch and diamond slice earrings, and she surprised the kiddies with Easter gifts, which brought joy and colour to the occasion, and she learned about the high-tech virtual reality treatments on offer. And I also didn't get a chance to show you her appearance on St. Patrick's Day when she met with the Royal Irish Regiment soldiers. And that was another win, a total win. As Colonel-in-Chief of the regiment, she wore a Jane Taylor London leopard print pillbox and a python clutch. So fun, so fun. And then at the badminton championships a few days earlier, together with Edward, it was rather a sporty stance for our Duchess, in crop trousers, in autumn poppy tooth, together with Puma trainers and a Habsburg lunatic clutch bag in black caviar. And no, Princess Eugenie, we are not going to forget you, because you've been a busy bee reading to school children, promoting the elephant conservation charity established by Queen Camilla's late brother, actually, the dashing Mark Shand. It was founded by him in 2003, and this was an event in Sloane Square, actually at the Garden House School, at Elephant Family's Little Egg Hunt. And weren't they wonderful uniforms there? And Eugenie called Mark Shand a dear friend and said that it was so important to be here because I have worked with the Elephant Family for so many years now, and they are a charity so close to my heart, close to my family's heart. She looked very good, I thought. Simple lines, great hair, and I think that Granny would be very proud. Thanks for joining me, my fruit tarts and my fruit crumbles. I look forward to seeing you next time. Godspeed and toodle pip.